Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with Dutyron and Ed Wallace. We are two retired New York City police detectives with 20 plus years of law enforcement. And if you like all things true crime related from a police perspective, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you will get all things Dutyron and this guy over here, Ed Wallace, when we go live or upload a video. Hey, Ed, how you doing today?
Doing good, doing good.
Yeah, I know I gave you about 2 seconds notice, so I apologize for that. We have a really we have a really good show tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern to talk to the audience about. Gene Robinson from SAR Drones, that's Search and Recovery Drones in Texas, is going to come on to talk about Gonzalo Lopez. This is the inmate who's on the run 7 days, going into 8 days over in Leon County in Centerville, Texas. He's been able to elude authorities from May 12th, I believe, until the current day. And we're here to talk about it a little bit. Guys, I want to say a special thank you to the Patreon supporters, the channel members, and all of the folks who positively engage in this community. You are what makes it a great place. And I appreciate each and every one of you coming in, joining, subscribing, hitting the thumbs up, and also, leaving questions and engaging, because the engagement after the conversation is over is what's really important. And I really, really appreciate, and so does Ed, all of your guys, the questions that you send in. So we have Gonzalo Lopez, a convicted murderer, a Mexican drug cartel, a Mexican mafia, out in the pastures, leaving the bus. We see video from a woman with her son in the backseat of her car. They play that video, they look at it, they record it real time, and then when they get onto the scene and drive past where the bus is down, they tell the cops, hey, he's running out over there. And here we are today. Ed, I know you saw that video. I reached out to that woman to see if I could get her to make a comment to me. I haven't heard back from her, but what was your thoughts on that little kid taking that video? And now it's all over the internet. It's gone viral, of that prisoner in his white garb running across the cow pastures.
Well, first thing I thought is, man, the kid is very brave. and second, I started to worry about his safety. And then I was like, are they listening to this kid?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was his mom. It wasn't even the kid. It was the mother. She was like, I think you want to search out there. He's out running across a silhouette. You can't see him up close, but somebody all dressed in white, in a white jumpsuit, running into. He actually stopped at one point and then started booking towards the towards somebody's house. And the little kid even said, and I think Josh has a clip that we're going to play. The little kid even said, hey, Ma, I think those people in that house might want to be careful. Josh, if you can run that clip, that right, Ed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mind-boggling. So, yeah, the kid was like, hey, Ma, don't you think that they should be kind of, worried or careful? Or it was just cringeworthy from an investigator standpoint. There's so much for us to talk about. Why didn't these correction officers shoot this guy as he's leaving? We don't know. We can't Monday morning quarterback it because none of us were there. Nobody was there in that fight. That was a life or death fight, Ed. And I know that you know all too well about this stuff. And so do I, from being 20 plus years in New York City Police Department. Every day we went to work and put that uniform on, we were a target. These bad guys, we're the difference between freedom and them going to jail. And they will definitely kill us. So that was a fight for both of their lives. Not just with this inmate, but there's 15 others that were there potentially. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people forget that they had a responsibility to not let all the rest of those inmates get out. So you can't just abandon ship and just go out and start chasing the guy. The responding units certainly could have went into a field and started chasing and looking for Lopez, but they didn't do that. They chose to stick with the bus. So let's play this little piece here that Josh has. We'll go full screen with it, and let's let everybody listen.
First tonight, new cell phone video captures the moments after an inmate managed to escape from a prison transport bus near Centerville last week.
Yeah, it is now day 6 in the manhunt for Gonzalo Lopez, a convicted murderer. Our Matt Doherty caught up with search crews in Centerville tonight to find out if there's a chance Lopez is even still in the area. Matt?
Authorities say they believe Gonzalo Lopez is still somewhere nearby. A source tells us that earlier today, officers found evidence they believe he left behind shortly after the bus crashed.
We saw the inmate. Oh my God.
That small white speck trailing off into a field of green is believed to be him. 46-year-old prison inmate Gonzalo Lopez running away in his white TDCJ jumpsuit minutes after the prison bus crashed.
He's in the woods.
In the video, the driver shouts to an officer from a nearby police department responding to the crash, telling him what they'd just seen.
He ran towards the house.
You think?
Yeah, somewhere near that house. So whoever's in that house might want to be careful.
But almost 6 days later, the convicted killer for the cartel still hasn't been caught.
If we didn't think he was out here, we wouldn't be out here looking for him.
Texas Department of Criminal Justice spokesman Robert Hurst says the perimeter of the search has been narrowed a small amount. It's now about 5 square miles. Hundreds of law enforcement officers are continuing the round-the-clock search effort. As Hurst says, they will stay here for as long as it takes to find him.
There's nothing that's telling our investigators, the people that are searching this area, that he's not back there. So as long as they have got credible evidence, information, continuing to look for him, they're going to stay on the tracks and keep looking for him here in Leon County.
From Centerville, I'm Matt Doherty, KHOU 11 News.
Pretty amazing, right, Ed?
It's a very dangerous situation, but every time I see the video, what pops into my head is that that video of Bigfoot running off into the woods.
Yeah. Going on 8 days here, right? So the 12th to now, we got 7 complete days in the books. Now we're going on to 8 days. My gut instinct, my spidey sense says that this guy didn't do this on his own, due to the nature of what his affiliation is. I think about El Chapo, right? We saw El Chapo and the unbelievable amount of air and police, the escort bringing him into the Manhattan federal courthouse. There was aviation from the NYPD. There was Homeland Security. There was everything from state, federal, and local in that caravan. They whisked him in 2016 from Mexico into the United States. And the amount of, obviously he was high profile, but this guy is not on the level of an El Chapo, but he certainly is on the level of somebody who's very dangerous, somebody who is a flight risk. And you would think that a small prison bus, it wasn't a small prison bus, but the prison bus that they put him on would have the maximum amount of security that you would put on somebody like this. They didn't do that. There was no no video inside the bus. It was an outdated old, I think 2006 Bluebird bus, because you see the emblem on the side. Tonight, when we do our live, we are going to have inside look at not that actual bus, but I have video of a prison bus that is similarly equipped as this bus that he escaped from. And we're going to look at that cage. It's going to show you from the inside the actual cage and the mesh, the wiring that he had to, or somebody had to have cut through to pull this stunt off. So
yeah. I would like to do a forensic examination of that, see if there's tool marks on there and see if it was tampered with before the inmates got on the bus in such a way as to cover up it being cut beforehand. Because it just doesn't seem like he would have time and the tool to do that.
Correct. And you mentioned that the last time we spoke about it, and I thought it was it was something I was thinking of that I just didn't say, but I felt like, when you said that, it all put it together, because this is not something that could just be pulled off with even a pair of wire clippers. That dog, is that the dog?
Oh, you hear it in the background?
I hear Kara.
She's playing with a chew toy and it makes noise.
Noise. Okay, cool. So when you look at the wiring on all of these gates, these sliding gates or closing gate doors that they have on these prison buses, it's not little like something that you would look at it in a chicken coop. It's not chicken wire. It's thick wire that you would need like mini bolt cutters to cut through it. So what's confusing to me is that he was able to, as the Texas Department of Public Safety guy, corrections guy, said he was able to slip underneath. He was uncuffed, unshackled. So he was I could see how he could do that, okay, on his own if he had if he had a cuff key or something to do it with. But this is reeking Mexican cartel aided. He had to have had additional resources and or people from the inside of that correctional facility helping him out, because there's no way in hell that this guy was able to be a Houdini on that day in question on May 12th. I mean, when you brought that up, Ed, it really put it all together for me. And
Well,
I feel like
cartels throw a lot of money around. They bribe people inside and outside of jail. Law enforcement has
right.
been involved in numerous cases of that. So what would it take for them to bribe somebody that has access to that bus to go
Right.
in there and tamper with that before he got on?
Yeah. So again, you need to have advanced planning to pull something like this off. And it seemed like he was able to do it. I'm not buying the concept of that he's still out there 7 days in the heat in Texas. The heat, you have the wild hogs, all the different wildlife that's out there in the middle of nowhere. You need food, you need water, you need shelter. I'm not buying that he's in that area, but we are going to do a show tonight on drones and how drones could help eliminate massive amounts of area. And you're a drone guy yourself, Ed.
Mhm.
But we're going to have Gene come on and talk about Locate. That's LOC 8, Locate, that program, and how they can throw the drone up and spend just a half a day in Leon County and run thousands and thousands of drone pictures and put that into their program and see if there's any article of clothing that's discarded by this inmate and cover that ground in a tenth, not even in such a small period of time. And I'm thinking in my mind, why are they not utilizing this? Now, I know they talked about infrared and heat sinking, but they didn't talk about this technology that's available. And a lot of Texas law enforcement have it available to them. So it's going to be fascinating to talk to Gene Robinson, who is a Texas resident himself. He's a lifelong Texan. So he's going to talk to us about that technology. And I think tonight's show is going to be awesome. We're going to show some footage from El Chapo being brought into Manhattan in 2016. That motorcade looked like something presidential or something that we would see with dignitaries from outside the country. The amount of security that man had, granted, he pulled off major escapes in Mexican prisons. The Mexican authorities couldn't keep that guy in jail. He broke out twice. And they scooped him up in the middle of the night and put him on a Con Air flight back to, he didn't even know where he was going. Came back here to the United States and to New York, and he was met in a airplane hangar, I think somewhere upstate. They whisked him into a caravan of like hundreds of vehicles, and they drove him into lower Manhattan. One of my friends was working the private security detail. It's like they wear brown uniforms. They're contracted by the federal government. It's like a private company that's contracted. And he was there, on the outskirts doing the security at the federal courthouse. And he said it was unbelievable. We're going to watch how when he was driven into that complex, there was 3 guys walking with it looked like AR-15 or M16 military rifles, walking backwards going into that facility as they drove in with him. That's how much they dotted their I's and crossed their T's. Now, I don't expect Leon County or the sheriff's department that was responsible to have that type of attention for this guy, but a little bit more than just one cop driving the bus, one sheriff's deputy driving a bus and one sheriff's deputy in the back with a shotgun. I would think with a 15, with a high profile guy like that, you would put 2 guys up in the front with the driver. There's usually a jump seat with two seats there, and one or two guys in the back. 4, in my eyes, would have been appropriate here, and that would have probably stopped this from taking place. Any thoughts on that, Ed?
Well, that is the possibility, but what is the standard procedure for this agency in their transports? Were they following their standard procedures? And if so, did they? What about any intel? Was there any intel that this guy could be an escape risk? I mean, they should have known that he's escaped in the past.
Right.
And again, I still haven't found, in all research, if this guy is legally here.
Right.
So, I mean, he's a cartel hitman.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and
Somebody just said in the chat, Texas beekeeping lady said, we would think that the hounds would have tracked him by now. And yeah, we're looking at going into day 8. This is a large area to search, and I spoke to Dave Rader from EquiSearch. They don't search for prisoners and escapees like this, but they certainly are experts at searching grid areas. And I think with the amount of personnel that they've had on the scene and helicopters that we saw from the Texas Department of the Sheriff's Department, that the amount of area that they should have been able to cover should have went over this landmass 2 times, 3 times over. So, Melanie Tipperman was the woman's name who her son took that video from the backseat of her car. And so far as I see it, that was some of the best work that was done on this thing. Granted, we don't have access to the case file and what investigation is going on right now, but that is civilian seeing something, saying something right there on the scene. I mean, Ed, you couldn't have asked for a hotter lead than that. She said he's out there. Wouldn't you think that the cop, if they had just any wherewithal, would have been like, "Hey, lady, stop! What are you talking about? What? Where? Oh, well, my son was just videoing, and he just saw him going right through, right over here, just a little bit back. I just drove forward to you, just back that way. He's just back that way. We saw him." Mind blowing. What do you guys think in the chat? Let us know what you think in the chat about Melanie and her son, the Tipperman family. I say right there, that's a civilian seeing something, saying something. She took a risk by slowing down. First of all, she doesn't even know what she's coming across there. But it seemed like everybody and their mother in that neighborhood, in that town over in Leon County, knew what was going on, because she seemed to sure do know. They knew that was a prison bus.
Yeah. It's funny you brought up the drone issues tonight, because on Monday I was just on a conference call with Louisiana State University's National Center for Biomedical Research, and we're rewriting our Homeland Security training course that I Advanced Forensics for Hazardous Environment, and we're purchasing. Looks like we're going to get a new drone, an FILR forward FLIR, FLIR.
The FLIR technology.
Yeah, MUVE C360, which has infrared camera, and it has toxic industrial chemical detection capabilities, and so it has the infrared camera and all this stuff, so we can spot all these thermal imaging and heats. And hold on one second, Brandon.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold on, bring him here, Brandon. Bring her here.
So Tara Ellis says, why didn't they not chase after him as soon as he took off on foot? The 2 officers that were there could not chase after him on foot, because their responsibility is to secure the rest of the prisoners in that bus. So that's the reason why they didn't do it. I'm going solo on you, Ed.
I
I thought she was there.
No, my son is taking care of her.
Oh, okay, no problem. Oh, I thought we were going to show her just for a minute. No big deal. Yeah. So Tara, that's a great question, and you know what? It's a question that I would have as a civilian, but I know that the responsibility is, because we had a situation where we had 2 females, not myself, but one of my fellow squad members was transporting 2 females, which was a cross complaint assault. So it was a straight out assault in East New York and Brownsville, and they had two perps in the car. They were both under arrest, and it was common that when you have large crowd gathering, you would just throw somebody in the car real quick and take them a couple of blocks, and then maybe, then you would divvy it up and take them out. So sometimes you'd have to do this. So they had two perps in the back of the car. One female got out of her cuffs and jumped out of the window, rolled the window down, and ran down the street uncuffed. They couldn't leave. They couldn't get out and chase her because they had another person in the car with them. So they stuck with the car and radioed for a responding unit, and they got her running down the street. But people just think, oh well, they should have just ran after him. They should have just, and like shooting him. Yes, that's also another option because you can shoot a fleeing felon. But in this day and age of scrutiny under law enforcement reform across America, no matter what you do as a police officer or as a sheriff's deputy, you shoot somebody, you are potentially going to be put on put up on trial. Ed, correct me if I'm wrong. There's a lot of apprehension in some of our law enforcement communities out there because everyone's worried about liability. So
Absolutely. I mean, after it's called the Ferguson effect, right? After the Ferguson incident, law enforcement have become shy about being proactive in doing things for fear of indictment, lawsuits, losing their jobs.
Correct.
To the search for
all right, Josh, if you got that clip, go ahead and play it. We'll play another little clip for you guys. Thank you.
Escaped inmate Gonzalo Lopez this morning. There are search for escaped inmate Gonzalo Lopez this morning. There are new questions about how he managed to slip his shackles, then escape from that prison transport bus and go on the run. Our Ugochi Iloka is live for us this morning, looking into it. And Ugochi, this is something like you see out of a movie.
Kimberly described it best. I mean, the more and more we learn about this escape, the more and more it sounds like something dreamed up in Hollywood, but it actually happened, and authorities are trying to figure out how. They say that Gonzalo Lopez, a convicted killer for the cartel, managed to get out of his shackles, cut through a metal cage, stab a prison bus driver, and in the end, vanish. So very elaborate, intense escape there. Take a look at your screen. This morning, we are getting a better look at the search efforts as crews narrow their focus to Western Leon County. This video from the Texas Department of Criminal Justice displays hundreds of officers marching through the brush acre by acre yesterday. And these are new surveillance camera pictures taken before he boarded the prison transport bus last Thursday that show he had a slight smirk on his face.
So stop it there,
Another
Josh.
big
Could you just
question
put it
for
back?
investigators.
Could you just put it back to the picture of him in the? I just want to emphasize this is what he would have looked at like if he was apprehended within the first, short period of time. I guarantee you, 100 million gazillion %. I would bet my pension on it that he is not wearing that white jumpsuit right now. That was what we saw on the footage that little kid took. And I'm hoping that I get a hold of his mom just to talk to her and get a little bit of insight on how that all unfolded, because I found it fascinating that she was able to get that, her son was able to get that so quickly and then ride past those deputies and say something without even being stopped. Like here in New York, I know it's a different, area, different climate, different policing, rural versus, city environment versus rural and country like over there. But I certainly would have stopped that woman and said, hey, what are you saying? What do you got? Because at that point in time, that situation was very active, very volatile, very hectic. And if you have a little tidbit, a little snippet of extra information, that's what's sometimes the difference between closing and catching somebody and not catching them. I don't feel that the odds are very good right now that they're going to catch this guy. I think he's long gone, and I think he's down into the border. What's the upside to him staying in that area right now? There's no upside to it. But this is what Gonzalo Lopez looks like or currently, not in probably that white outfit, but that is what he looked like. It's not really, he could change his appearance, he could wear a wig, but he's got that scar on the right side of his neck. Josh, let the rest of that play, and then we'll wrap it up.
On his face. Another big question for investigators: did Lopez bring anything on the bus that assisted in his grand getaway plan?
The proper protocol is for an inmate to be searched before they get onto a transport bus. That'll be part of our investigation to find out if protocol was followed in what was supposed to be done.
Sure.
As for anyone helping Lopez from the inside, TDCJ says that's another part of the investigation they'll be looking into. Staff?
You're damn sure. Damn sure, right. It definitely is a part of the investigation. Ed, what did you think about that piece?
No, yeah, it's quite interesting. Like I said,
Oops, I removed Ed. Hold on, I'm adding you back.
okay.
I removed you. Sorry about that.
All right. If this was a planned escape and it was premeditated and so forth, then you would think there would be a thorough getaway plan where he'd be picked up someplace, meet somebody, and whisked away from that community. I don't think he knows anything about that community, and it wouldn't make sense to stay there. But then again, yeah, you know, who would think that the whites would stay in a hotel for 14 days in Indiana?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You make a really good, valid point there. I wanted to read a little piece from KHOU. This is a Texas, based Leon County, Texas local news group. It says it's been over a week since authorities said 46-year-old Gonzalo Lopez escaped custody by shredding his shackles and cutting through a metal barrier before stabbing a prison bus driver in the hand and in the chest and getting away on foot after the bus crashed. The search efforts haven't diminished. They're saying that the searchers do not want to wrap it up and they want to continue to search. I know in my heart that this is an organized search. I see it. I see some of the footage that they're showing. It is an organized search, but I think at some point in time they have to come to a realization that if you search a certain area and you search and research it and you keep going over all of these potential spots where he could be holed up, and you come up with negative results, you got to open up that search potential and area. And I hope and pray that the federal authorities on the ground inside of Mexico are, getting together with some of the Mexican authorities to try to find out if this scumbag, in fact, did make it into the border into Mexico, because that's something that should be happening behind the scenes. And I also want to say this: new information, as we keep reporting, Ed and I, with the Casey White and Vicky White scenario and situation, we kept getting different information from the sheriff, from the different law enforcement authorities that were reporting on it to the news. And this one is no different, because now we hear yesterday that the spokesperson for the Department of Corrections that we're hearing from on a regular basis, we now find out that they did not shoot the tires out immediately after this escape started unfolding. They shot those tires out as this inmate was driving that bus away. So that's new information that came out late yesterday, that he didn't take the necessary steps. He was branding him as heroic steps that he took to prevent this bus. Remember this, Ed? He was saying that he took these heroic steps to prevent that bus from traveling much further. He was shooting at that bus as it was moving and pulling away. Could have shot one of the inmates, could have shot one of the people on the roadway. Again, a situation that was out of control and very dangerous, and they did what they had to do. But this is where information now starts to change, and how much do we not know about what really did go on here? And how much do we not know about internally who might have had a hand in this from that correctional facility that he left? It's all part of the internal affairs investigation, right, Ed?
Absolutely. And, eventually we'll get the correct information when the report is released.
We hope and pray. And I know that transparency and things of that nature are big with law enforcement. It's part of that law enforcement reform that we've seen over the last 2.5 years. But at the end of the day, folks in Centerville and Leon County have to be scared shitless. I mean, you have regular people who are in homes in remote areas that they must be at night. Like, I mean, I know if I was a woman or even if I was by myself, I would be worried, that is this guy going to be come breaking through my window and hold me hostage? I mean, let me know what you think down below in the comments or in the chat. The award is up to $50,000 now, but now we still have a sense of some of our folks, because of what happened to the car wash guy, James Stinson, over on the Vicky White and Casey White situation, and that case where he has still not been paid his $25,000. There's no word. I look every day for it. I try to communicate and try to get a hold of this guy just to talk to him and see how things are going. And you have people who feel like this reward is bullcrap and that they're not going to pay it out. I hope and pray that that's not the case, because you and I know, Ed, from New York City Crime Stoppers and in the NYPD, the Cop Shot program and Crime Stoppers, they pay out. I know for a fact. I've seen people get paid out $10,000, $5,000, and it gets paid out anonymously. You get a number. It's an elaborate system that they have worked out where you're not even identified. You're given a log number, and they don't even know your name, and that money gets paid out. And even when people hand in guns, when you have the gun buyback program, they get paid right on the spot. So New York City doesn't F around, but I don't know what happens down in Alabama. I'm hoping that they make good on it. So again, that's public perception that gets kind of scarred by past events. And it's fresh in people's minds because I see people talking about it. I hear it. I see it on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and in all the groups. They're like, oh, this $50,000, they just want to get the information and not pay it out. So, yeah. Listen, tonight's show is going to be very, very educational, very interesting, because Ed knows a lot about the drones as well. This flare and this locate, LOC number 8, software and program and technology that they use, Gene Robinson from SAR Drones, who's a professional drone pilot, has been doing this for, he's older than dirt. I love Gene. He's going to kill me for that. But Gene has been at this a long time. I call him the grandfather of the drones. Gene knows everything about drones. He'll run circles around all of us when it comes to this. But he is going to tell you about if a stitch of clothing this big is left out in the middle of nowhere, his drone can find it with that locate technology. Ed, anything on that?
Well, like I said, that's his baby. That's his proprietary software that he helped develop, and the algorithm does a search of the footage looking for specific colors that you ask it to look for.
Right.
It's amazing stuff.
Yeah. Hey, by a show of hands in the chat, who will be available 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to watch our drone special with Gene Robinson tonight? Again, he's going to go over the locate software, and we're going to talk about, and we're going to show demonstrations. We're going to look at some of the footage of El Chapo as he was being taken into custody here in New York City. And we're also going to look at inside the prison bus, not the actual prison bus, folks, but we're going to look inside a comparable prison bus that they do transports in. And we're going to look at that cage, and we're going to look at the seating arrangement and how the officer is in the back and he's in a cage. We're going to look at all of that stuff. Let me know who's going to be PFD. I see a lot of people saying PFD. I love, Ed, that we started that.
Present for duty.
PFD. Everybody's PFDing even before I ask them to do it. So by a show of hands, who's going to be PFD tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern? We're working Ed Wallace to the bone this week, because next week he's going to be back to good old Ed Wallace, traveling the country or staying local. We never know what's going to happen with him. So
speaking about working to the bone, everybody see my shirt?
I'm going to go full screen now. So explain that. What is that? I can't even see it. I see 2 skeletons. What does it say?
Human Remains Recovery School, University of Tennessee.
Wow, there we go. So that came from Dr. Murray Mark's program?
That's correct.
Out frickin' standing. We still have to get in touch with him because I want to get a tour of the body farm. I know that's going to be hard to get, but I want to take a flight down there and I want to see the body farm. He promised me that he would try to make that happen.
I'm sure he would do that. Yeah, let you come and we can do a live feed from the body farm.
Yeah, I mean, how many people in the chat would love to see a live broadcast from the grounds of the body farm? And where is that, in East Tennessee?
By
Knoxville, right?
Knoxville, Tennessee.
Right. Yeah, so right out in Knoxville. I'm not sure if we'll be able to. I don't know if legally he'll let us live stream from inside. We're not going to show any of the volunteer specimens that are in there, but we certainly would like to show you guys just a bit of the operation, because that is a fascinating learning program that helps all law enforcement across not only the United States but across the world. Right, Ed?
Absolutely. Yeah, you got students from all around the world.
Right. So it's a worldwide learning and teaching facility. We had our good friend Ian Dodor from down under in, I think he was out of Perth, Ian. That was the bug doctor. He came on with us, and he is friends with Murray Marks. So cool stuff.
Absolutely.
Anything else going on with you? And you got any updates for Kara? What's going on with the pup? How is she doing?
She's doing good. She's very smart, learning quick. We got her to. So far, she knows how to sit. She knows how to paw. She rings the bell to tell us she got to go outside, and
nice.
We got the location down for her where she is going to permanently take care of her business, and she knows exactly where to go and to do that. So we're going to take. She's got a visit with the vet tomorrow to go follow up on what needs to get done next in terms of booster shots, and we'll schedule getting her chipped, and then we have to wait to get her fixed. Obviously, she can't be fixed now. She has to wait to after her first menstrual cycle and so forth.
Yeah. Hey, talking about getting chipped, I think we should start chipping these really bad felons, the guys who are sex offenders and murderers. I think they should be chipped in instances like this, where we could locate them if they, God forbid, break out. Dot to Dot says, I know that would be a violation of privacy and whatnot. Dot to Dot says, I don't want anything to do with a body farm. She's from Tennessee. She's like, oh, hell no. Sherilyn Schofner said, I thought that the body farm was in Virginia. No, they have them in what? Pennsylvania? There's a couple of locations. Right?
There's a few throughout the country now, but the originals started off in University of Tennessee. And there was a question in the chat about whether or not I think it was this was inside help. Again, I would like to examine how he got through that cage, and if I found evidence of tools that he did not possess. Or could not have possessed, or attempts to use some kind of adhesive after the item was cut to stay in place until he was ready to break through and escape, then I would say, yes, at that point, if I found that kind of evidence.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there has to be a major, and it's already happened. They have that vehicle. I saw a news clip of them towing the actual the prison bus where this break happened from. The prison bus itself. They had to have taken that in and did a forensic scrub of it, and everything from that facility, everything with getting him ready and bringing him out. They're going to have that on film, right? But once they leave from there, now it's just going to be science to try to figure out how and why this was able to occur. And I listen, I'm not a betting man, but I would have to say, if you ask me my opinion, and I think Ed, you probably will agree, he had to have had help. There was just no way that it's possible to get out of your shackles without anybody in your handcuffs, without anybody noticing it. And he was right in the first row. according to officials. If he's right there in the first row, I mean, come on, in that bus, I already had an advantage of seeing what the inside somewhat looks like, even the Rikers buses I've been on. But he had to have had a mirror where I mean, we had it in the trip team van. I had one of those long ass mirrors in there so I could see the guys behind me. Even just that mirror alone, if the guy's driving, the bus driver's driving, he's got to see this guy moving. And if he was doing some kind of hacking and soaring, Ed, am I boring you?
No, no.
I love you.
Yeah, okay, wise ass. My dog is yawning.
up.
My dog is yawning, and I'm yawning with her.
I thought it was me. I don't know. I just thought it was me. But but I'm saying, even all of that movement and everything, the guy in the back, he's not going to be able to see. You guys will see tonight when I show that prison bus. It would be very hard to see from all the way in the back. But the guy in the front had to have been able to see this guy moving and moving around. So I really feel strongly that your possibility of the possible scenario of it being pre-cut is probably a good possibility. And for that to get pre-cut, you had to have somebody on the inside working. And, money talks and bullshit walks. And some of these correction officers, and listen, this is not a dog on correction officers, but you and I both know, law enforcement, we don't go into that career to become rich. Corrections, they're underpaid, overworked. And if someone was offered $100,000 or $200,000 or whatever, that is always going to be a, dangling carrot in front of somebody. So if somebody was offered a high amount of money to do something like that and do it undetected in a lot that has no cameras, I mean, I could see how that conceivably could be pulled off. Now, I'm pulling at straws here, but that is an extreme possibility to think about, that somebody did do that from the inside. Because who else was going to be able to do that? Who else could get into a bus and pre-cut out a hole? Or unless prisoners did it over a course of time. What's so funny, Ed?
See what I put up?
Says, I yawn when Dutyron talks too. ... If I didn't love you and we hadn't spoken on the phone and had many conversations, I would have blocked your ass for that ... But I know that you love me and I love you. That's my girl from Tennessee. She is a wise
Barney
ass,
now?
though. Yeah.
You sound like Barney now. Purple dinosaur.
Thank you. I love you. You love me. All right. So tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern time, Gene Robinson from SARS Drone, that search and rescue drone, is going to be joining me and Ed Wallace. Hopefully Ed is not going to yawn when I talk, because now, and all of you guys jumping on the bandwagon. Mm-hmm. Sons of guns. You sons of guns.
Yeah, it wasn't you that caused me the yawn, but
yeah.
With the new dog around the house, sleep is it is hard to get.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, these little ones, when they like, I remember when you said this isn't your first rodeo, but when I got Oscar 14 years ago, he kept us up for like 2 weeks in a row straight every night, crying in the crate. You ignore, they cry, you ignore, and it's just like, oh my god.
No, but we have a schedule, okay, and we know when we have to take Kara outside to do her business. And,
right.
When we feed her and, so forth. And then when we exercise her, and then when we start doing some training with her, it's all on a regimented schedule.
Yes. Look at this one from Galati. Guitar Tone said, I had just had lunch and legit was falling asleep, but I love you.
Okay. So she's got the post lunch coma.
Yeah. Joanne L says yawns are contagious. Rose says, and Rose is always, God bless Rose. She's on every live stream that we do. So Rose says, at Dutyron, if you have integrity, I don't care how much you make. I don't care how much they offer you. I wouldn't help an inmate escape. Neither would I. Again, everybody has their own, I don't know. What do you want to say? Buying limit. I don't know. Buying threshold. Me, I can't be bought to commit a crime. If when I put my hand up and took that oath to protect and serve and to uphold the Constitution, I took that very seriously. And I know Ed did too as well. So it didn't matter if there was $1 million in front of me. That is dirty, filthy money. I wouldn't bring it home to my family. I wouldn't participate in it. I wouldn't want to embarrass, myself and my entire family and everybody who loves and cares about me. So for me, I would rather just walk away from it and say, wow, that's a lot of money, but F that. I'm not doing it. I got some good news for you. Melanie Tipperman has just sent me her phone number. So she said, yes, sir, I would love to talk to you. Here's my phone number. So I'm going to get her on the horn, and maybe we'll have her join us tonight. Who would be interested in hearing from the actual person whose son, and he sounded like a young boy, maybe under 10, that recorded that video footage of Gonzalo Lopez? That would be fascinating to hear from them. So I'm gonna certainly get off here and give her a call. I'm gonna give her a jingle and see what she has to say, and hopefully we can bring her on to Crime Time with Dutyron and just get her take, because I feel, and like I said, this is before she sent her phone number to me, I feel that she and her son did what we all want the public to do. If you see something, say something. And the help that we receive on cases from the public is invaluable. So, Ed, let's see how that goes. If she comes on, don't yawn tonight, Ed, please.
Okay, I'll take a nap with the dog. The dog's napping now. I should nap too.
Yeah.
But anyhow, having said that, if you there was a question about the shirt. Yeah, if you go to the University of Tennessee's Body Farm website, you might be able to find things like this to purchase.
All right, then I'm going to have to get one. I'm going to have to get one myself. All right, guys, I think we've done enough damage here, but tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, we may have special guest, Miss Melanie Tipperman, but we definitely are going to have Ed Wallace, myself, and Gene Robinson from SAR Drones in Texas. He's a fellow Texan, and he's got a lot to say. So thank you to all of the live viewers, the replay viewers. Thank you to anybody who has newly subscribed. And for those of you who are here and engaging, thank you. For those of you who watch the replay, again, we love you. I love you. You love me. We are a happy family with a great big hug from a kiss from me to you. How about that, Ed?
You just got trademark stamped.
Ba-chunk. Done. Thank you. You're done. You're done. All right, guys. Have a great day. Thank you from Ed Wallace and I. God bless the world. God bless the United States of America. And God bless each and every one of us here in the chat. But especially all the victims of crime across the globe. Ed, what do you got
Stay
to say?
safe. Stay prepared. Watch your six.
Peace from Dutyron and Ed. Thanks for joining, everybody. See you tonight at 9.